Hello, this is C. Bradley Hunt II, and I serve as the director of the Guilford County Community Political Action Committee. I also serve the young people of New Light Missionary Baptist Church. I'm delighted to be here today with Brother Davis, and I am excited about the work that he is doing. I want to say today that this is a clarion call to all people to register and to vote. This is a very critical election that we are about to embark upon, and I want to make sure that all the citizens of North Carolina especially understand how critical it is to be a part of this election. As we look down the ballot, we see a number of candidates who are seeking to represent us. I want to be clear that we have to look at each candidate and understand that they are there to represent us. That is their responsibility, that is their obligation, that all power be vested in the people. That's the North Carolina Constitution. And so when we look at those seeking to serve, I want to begin at the top of the ticket. When we look at Secretary Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, we have, of course, two opposing views and perspectives. We see now where Hillary Clinton has been a career politician. We know her husband, and for many young people, as I say, I'm speaking on behalf of the millennials, or from a millennial perspective. As a young person, I'm aware of the fact that Bill Clinton was in office when the number of black men incarcerated doubled due to his legislation and the war on drugs. I want to say also that we understand Hillary Clinton is a career politician, and she has been involved with some of the policies that have taken place that have not been kind to our community. So I understand while there is apprehension with Secretary Clinton. But when you look at Mr. Trump, I don't think that you can honestly give his candidacy any validity. I don't understand how, especially a young person of color, can actually agree with the policies or lack thereof of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has shown himself to be a bigot, a racist, one who was concerned about himself, one who has failed his companies, has failed other people due to his shady business dealings. There is no way that one could ever consider voting for Donald Trump. And so I want us to be clear today that if we're going to move this country in the way that it should go, we have to consider and we have to vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton for president in 2016. When we come on down the ballot in North Carolina, we see the senatorial race there between Deborah Ross and Richard Burr. Once again, we have two very opposing views and opinions. But we see where Richard Burr has been in the Senate for 20 years now. His income has tripled or doubled while he's been in the Senate. He has shown that his seat there has been self-serving, and he's been an obstructionist with the president. And so there's no way that we can support Richard Burr. We have to look to Deborah Ross. She has been there for our community fighting as a civil rights attorney, and I think that she will serve our interest and represent us more effectively than Richard Burr. When we also come down the ticket in North Carolina, we see Roy Cooper running for governor against our incumbent, Pat McCrory. We understand now that Pat McCrory and his cronies in the North Carolina legislature have done nothing but set us back to a time that we want to forget, and they're trying to force us to remember. But we understand that Roy Cooper has not always made the best decisions. I understand that as a millennial. We understand what he's done in Charlotte. We see what he's done in Charlotte with the young man, Florida A&M football player who was gunned down. He chose not to press the issue. We see where he supported the gay rights issue, but was not there to support the African Americans in their fight against police brutality. So we understand Roy Cooper has some ways to go. But there is no way that we can trust or support a Pat McCrory. I don't need to tell you, if you're a resident of North Carolina, HB 2 has been just a wrecking force of devastation on our state. Many of the things that we're trying to continue to do to bring prosperity to this area, HB2 has created a divisive and a broken spirit, really, in North Carolina. And so we see now that we have to do some things in our legislature and in our governor's mansion. There's no way that we can vote for anyone but Roy Cooper in this 2016 presidential election. A number of races are critical all across the state, locally. Don't forget our judges. But the one thing that you have to remember in this election, you cannot speak on it, you cannot have an opinion if you do not vote. If you do not take that obligation, that right, that privilege seriously, you cannot speak in the affairs of government. And one person once told me that we either master politics or we will be mastered by those that do. This is the study and the science of government. It is something that we should not be afraid of, but it should be vested in the people and the will of the people. And so I encourage you, in November, get out and vote. Vote your pleasure. Understand that there are candidates that will represent you, and understand that there are candidates that will represent themselves. Early voting starts October 20th. We have 2 sites open in Gifford County, and then we will go all the way up until Election Day in November. Do not forget to vote starting October 20th. We want to utilize early voting. Get out, exercise your right, and VOTE. Thank you.